Okay, so it's good to be together again. So why don't you just open floor? How was your experience yesterday?
It brought a lot of clarity on what I really want to write. And I'm like, she's the right person just because I just recently found out that I might be on the spectrum. And also, I have ADHD. Um, like I've had undiagnosed ADHD, and I started. I only I'm not even getting treated for it because I'm like I'm not so sure if I'm trying to like still navigate how I can. You have it too? Yeah, and usually like when you have I discovered that when because I've had undiagnosed ADHD, like people would sometimes like box me in and think that I'm neurotypical, and
Mm.
like I always end up like getting mocked, and like I can tell like people think that there's something, like they think that I'm funny even if I'm not really trying to be funny. Um anyway, so yeah, I'm like, wow, Jory is really the right person because you would know like the language and how to actually write the book and everything because you have experience dealing with
So
writing.
you want to write a book from the lens of like is the stigma of being diagnosed or undiagnosed or the fear of finding out?
um that's a really good question. I think I started. Okay, so it's because you said like how I would write my book. It should be like thematic, right? Like I'm like she has really experience on this one, like, and so um probably like a combination of both, or is that too much? Like that's a problem with me because like I always try to like.
So the cool thing is that because I have ADHD, like I've not been officially diagnosed. OCD I definitely have.
uh
But the good thing is that one helps the other because I can be so all over the place. Like I have to create systems and structures to like stay here. And so for me, like some people like to write for like 2, 3 hours at a time. And I'm like, my brain doesn't work that way. Like I can't focus on anything. Like
Same
even if
here.
there's a movie, like some a scene will come on and then I'm thinking about this. And then so someone's like, what did you think of that movie? And I'm like, oh, now I have to go back in my memory and remember which parts I was actually paying attention to in the movie for like right. And so for me, like book writing is therapeutic if I give myself like small
So
chunks.
that's okay.
Like I'm not trying to do a whole novel in an afternoon. I've known people who like, oh, let me just try to bang it out in a week or a weekend. I'm like, I don't, that's not for me, that's not safe or productive. And so I like to give myself like think time where I ideate, and usually it's while I'm doing something else because I have ADHD. Like the thoughts come while I'm engaged in another activity, which is why like talk to text is so like it's like almost
Helpful
like
for
this friend
you.
now. Like
Yeah.
because to sit down and focus on this, like I got 4 kids running, like it's a
Yeah,
lot.
it's amazing what you do. I'm like, if she can do it, then I can definitely do it. I just need to really.
Everybody is different. I will say that a million times over, but here's the common thing that we both have. We both have the ability to share our stories, right? We are in our right minds enough to share our stories to help the next woman after us.
Maybe.
Well,
Maybe I'm in my right mind.
even if you don't think you are, right? The fact that you were able to log on, you took
That's true.
notes, right? You showed up back here the next day.
Yes.
I think you got some good stuff going on
Yes, yes, yes.
cognitively, neurologically. I think you good. Um, but it
So,
I really try to make it so like just let's walk together, right? So there's a couple of different services that people do. One is like a done for you, where like you give me all your thoughts and ideas and I go away in a silo and I concoct some stuff and then I throw it back at you, and then we keep this weird thing going back and forth, right? I don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Done with you is, okay, where are you at? Now let me walk with you from your pain island to your pleasure island of being a published author, right? Like, I want to walk you through that process, but I'm not dragging you.
Right.
I'm not pushing you. I'm leading you gently, right? And sometimes a little sternly if I have to. That's sometimes, if you say, hey, I want to have this many words by this date and you're not on it, I'm going to call you to task. Like, I'm going to hold you accountable because there are people who need this book and you're not
I'm the
hurting
one
me,
who's not doing my job. I'm
right?
not
Like, it's a
doing it
disservice to the folks who are going to
right.
benefit from your experiences.
That's so true.
It's not about me. And it's honestly, it's not about you.
No, it's not.
It's about the folks that you get to help. And I say get
Right.
to because
I
it's a
agree.
privilege. All right. Dan,
Hi.
what's up?
Good. How are you?
Good, good, good. I wish I would have recorded everything yesterday because you guys had some really good like feedback and insight. So wanted to take this time to just hear how was your experience yesterday at the Your Story Matters virtual workshop?
So can I tell you like a little story?
I love stories.
Okay. So I did a talk at Queens College about student teaching and stuff like that. And I mentioned how something that I look forward to during like, my time teaching is like when I get to go to professional learning or I get to meet other whatever, like all those little extra things, because that brings me joy and it sparks my passion. And that's literally what you did, honestly, with me yesterday. Because I was like, I want to make this book. I want to try to figure this out. And there's just so many variables, not to bring in math, but there's so many variables that are going on now and things I'm just thinking about. But I mean, I wrote 2 pages of notes. Like I was, like actually trying to put together what you were saying. And it really did. I mean, I think one of the first things I texted James at the end is like, I'm inspired. So
Wow.
I truly do mean that too. So you gave me a little spark in this whole journey that I'm traversing right now.
Yes, your author journey. Yes, brother. Let
Yeah.
your wings. Let them all the way out. Fantastic. Okay, so I'm blushing. Brown blush. You can't tell, but it's brown blush. It's there. I promise. So two takeaways, two top
Sure.
takeaways. You say you took 2 pages of notes. If you can like just
Almost 2 pages of like things that resonated with me, or it was like answering questions. But yeah.
top two takeaways from yesterday.
Sure. So one of them was the whole pleasure island versus I forget it's somewhere here. Pleasure versus pain. And I feel like now that like I'm saying it, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But like I didn't think about that. And you mentioned, that might be a great way to start figuring out one, how to format, and two, like figuring out your chapters. So when I was thinking of like what's the pain and what I'm trying to do with Monique, I was like, oh, that actually is helpful. Like, oh, I can talk about this, then I can talk about this. And then it started to play. I wrote down bullet points of things that like were coming to mind that I was like, maybe these are seeds for chapters or sub chapters. And again, like it's such an obvious concept now that like I'm saying it out loud, but like I didn't think about that before. And that unlocked my thinking of how can I come up with these parts of the book to get to where I want folks to be at the end, which I think was one of the other bigger takeaways is have that person that you want to read your book in mind. And at least how the way I interpret it is like, where do I want them to be at the end of the book? What do I want them to get out of it? What do I want them to question or think about? And I think that molded with figuring out what are those pain parts of what I'm trying to convey, like was definitely like a little like jolt of like, oh, I see. Not everything's answered, but like that was like a huge like a catalyst to like my thinking.
I want to add one portion of that because what you're sharing, what you're saying, think about not where you desire for them to be. In addition, think about where they are. Like, what type of environment are they experiencing in the classroom? What type of relationship do they have right now with their co-teacher? How is administration overseeing or encouraging or discouraging them from actually using the knowledge, right? The strategies, the tactics that they've learned in school, but might not be a good fit for this specific organization, right? And the way that things are laid out. And so if you think about like, why in the world would someone pick up this book?
Yeah.
Like, what are they experiencing right now? Like, it serves you twofold. One, that's what you're going to put on the back of that book as a description. Are you, and you make a list, that same bullet point list, like, are you feeling these things? Are you experiencing these things? Then this is the book for you. And here's why. By the end of this book, you will know how, you will be able to, you will rethink, you know, like, whatever the outcome is, just lay all that on the back of the book. So that as they're perusing, oh my gosh, this is, dude, that's me. Oh, I gotta, and now that I'm thinking about that's me, that's also probably my entire ISS department.
Yeah. Wow.
But how can we get this book now in the hands of not just me, maybe my close friends, maybe my ISS department, but now with the administrator? And so that's where those other opportunities lay in, where now, instead of you just giving talks about student teaching at Queens College, now you're going into schools, helping them set up proper dynamics in terms of their ICT classrooms, right? Like, so
I'm tapping away. This is great.